All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're drawing up the complete blueprint for one of the absolute hottest jobs in tech right now, the cloud architect. If you've ever wondered about this career, you're in the right place, because we are breaking down the entire path for you.
But first, let me just ask you this. What if I told you there's a top-tier tech job, one with a huge salary, that's more about strategy and design than it is about hardcore coding? Sound interesting? Well, that's a cloud architect in a nutshell. So, let's start at square one. What in the world is a cloud solutions architect? Honestly, the best way to think about them is as the master designers of our digital world.
Now, the official definition says they're professionals who design and manage a company's cloud systems. They create the entire framework that everything else gets built on top of.
But let's put that in plain English. They're the ones making the big, critical calls. They figure out the smartest way to store all the company's data, they choose which cloud services to use, like AWS or Azure, and they make sure the whole thing runs like a well-oiled machine. Super secure and super efficient.
And this is a perfect example. Imagine your favorite online store wants to move its entire website to the cloud. The cloud architect is the genius who designs that whole system, making sure it can handle massive traffic during a flash sale without crashing. They build it all from the ground up.
Okay, now for the part I know you've been waiting for, the rewards. Why is this job so popular? Let's talk about the money and the incredible opportunities.
So let's talk numbers. Right out of the gate, as a fresher with maybe 1 or 2 years of experience, you're already looking at a salary between 5 and 12 lakhs per year. I mean, think about that. That is an amazing start to any career.
And believe me, it gets way better. With just a few more years under your belt, say 3 to 6, that number just explodes. You're suddenly in the range of 12 to 30 lakhs per year. The growth is just unbelievably fast.
And then you hit the senior level. For people with 7+ years of experience, the potential is just massive. We're talking 30 to 60 lakhs a year, and honestly, for the best architects, it goes way, way beyond that.
And here's the really exciting part. There isn't really a ceiling. If you manage to land a job at one of the giants like Amazon, Google, or Microsoft, these numbers can climb even higher. The sky is absolutely the limit.
So why the huge paycheck? It's really just simple supply and demand. Cloud architects are needed everywhere, from tiny startups to huge banks, even in government projects. I mean, think about it. Almost every single company is moving to the cloud. So the demand for people who know how to do this stuff is just off the charts, all over the world.
Okay, so you're probably feeling motivated. You see the potential. But the big question is, how do you actually get there? Well, let's break down the exact step-by-step roadmap to becoming a cloud architect. So the whole journey really starts with building a solid foundation. You'll spend a couple of weeks just getting the IT basics down. Then you'll dive into Linux, which is super important because most cloud servers run on it. After that, you've got to tackle networking fundamentals. But the real core of your learning, the main event, is mastering one of the big cloud platforms. The advice is to start with AWS. It's the most popular, and it's actually pretty friendly for beginners.
Okay, before we go any further, I need to pause on this, because this is probably the single most important piece of advice you're going to get. In the world of cloud, certifications are not just a nice little bonus on your resume. They are often the actual key that gets you in the door for an interview. They are proof you have the skills.
All right, back to our roadmap. Step 5 is getting comfortable with DevOps tools like Docker and Kubernetes. Then comes step 6. And listen, this one is not optional. You have to do projects. Build something. Host a website, deploy an app, anything that's real. That experience then leads you right into step 7, getting that super important certification, like the AWS Certified Solutions Architect. Once you've got that certificate in hand, you are ready to start applying for jobs.
And I'm going to say this again because it is that important. You can't just read about this stuff or watch videos. Building real projects is how you prove to a company that you can actually do the work. Your project portfolio is going to be your best friend during the job hunt. So how long is all this going to take? Well, if you're a really fast learner and can put in a few hours every day, you could be ready for a job in about 5 or 6 months. For most of us, though, a timeline of 6 to 9 months is probably more realistic. The real key here is just being consistent, chipping away at it for 2 or 3 hours every single day.
We've covered the what, the why, and the how. But now it's time for the most important question of all. Is this career actually the right choice for you? Let's try to put it all into perspective.
This table is actually a brilliant way to see the differences. A data analyst, for example, needs less coding, and it's a great way to start in tech. A machine learning engineer,
that's super heavy on coding and math. The cloud architect sits in this really cool, unique middle ground. You don't need to code all day like an ML engineer, but you do need to have a deep understanding of systems and networks. It is the perfect job for people who just love designing the big picture, the real systems thinkers.
And here is a fantastic piece of advice. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all this, or you're just not sure where to start, you might want to think about the data analyst path. It's a much easier way to get your foot in the door of the tech world. And from there, once you have some experience, you can always pivot to something more specialized like cloud or ML.
So there you have it. That is the complete blueprint for a career as a cloud architect. We've talked about what it is, the salary, the insane demand, and the step-by-step plan to get you there. The path is all laid out for you. The only real question left is, are you ready to start building?